allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, do we need approval of the agenda? Probably? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion is made by Josh, seconded by Ricky to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Home on you, Ralph.
Okay, you have it in your packet, some information that I put together on our meetings with the golf board, and I'd just like to read through those things, and then I think we have other members of the golf board here if you have desired clarification or further interpretation of what's here. I would like to start with the one that says observations. It's been very rewarding for me to see the people with this passion about the concept of the golf course being run by the city. That's been very, very fun to be a part of. I've personally gotten to know some people that I wouldn't have known otherwise. It was a new opportunity for me to visit St. Paul, see our state government in action. It was nice to see the political representatives and give us the cover we needed to proceed with this project. That was very, very good. It's been refreshing to see the number of people who have come out and given of their time, talents, and treasures to make this happen and to get it as far as it is so far. Without the people mowing and doing the work that they've done so far, we wouldn't even have anything to talk about because it would be an overgrown weed patch that would be, really far gone. So they've really worked hard to get that. It always amazes me, the talented people who will rally around a project, and the citizens of Fairfax are not of one mind on this issue, and big ideas require a leap of faith and a belief in positive outcomes. So that's kind of the over observation of it. Now, when we look at the spreadsheet, what I did is I went through and I took on the role of pessimist, and I always want to make sure that I'm examining the full extent of what the possible liability might be. When you look at the structural facility and payment, that's structured by the state on a 5-year thing. The first year it's $4,396. That's what it is for all of the years for the structural facilities, and that's to rent the chalet and to rent the storage equipment that is considered part of the lease agreement. 5-year total on that is $21,980. The land value payments start for the first year at $3,246, and that will be slightly revised down because it would be prorated, is my understanding, but that was what it would be for the full lease. But that would be reduced some, but I was not sure how much, so I just left it at the full amount. And then you can see that increases in year 2 and increases again in year 3. After year 3, it stays the same for years 4 and 5. Equipment cost up to this point so far, because once we signed the lease or once we signed the maintenance thing and we said go ahead and start doing the maintenance, we moved forward with some of the things needed to have in place for that to happen. Mower repair of $1,000, and then we leased the mowers needed, and that's $12,716 a year for the next 3 years. So that's a 3-year thing. When you can see where it says total lease cost, that's of those 3 years. Cart leases, we have not signed a cart lease yet, and again the first year would be prorated, and that would have to wait until after the city was given permission by SHPO. I believe that's the right acronym. SHPO would have to give approval for us to get the carts, and once we did that, then we would look at that. Liquor license, my understanding is that's $1,700 a year. Food license, $405 a year. And then we get into cost to get the chalet ready. I don't know what that cost would be. I don't think, did we ever discuss that cost?
It's still up in the air until the food license people at the health department
so that's
reviews what we have in the store.
Yeah, and that's an unknown cost, and fuel and that kind of stuff you know, your day-to-day operational expenses, those are unknown at this point. Wages and salaries, I just estimated, you know, if you hire the people we need, you know, you might be looking at $40,000 a year to get a couple of people on board to do that. So those are the numbers, how I see them. And, you know, while no numbers for green fees have been established, because we thought that we didn't have to decide that at our last meeting, we wanted to move forward with this and get this to the board or to the council, and then we could do that. But if we were to estimate that to be $13 per round of golf, you know, when you start doing the math, you might want to start dividing that by $13 per round of golf to kind of figure out how that's going to pay for itself. The pledges that we have right now are roughly $38,000. Any updates or changes in that, Marcia?
No.
Okay.
That's the cash.
That's the cash on hand. Yep. And that's from a pledge pool of 50,000 roughly. Okay. So questions that need to be answered, I think, to make an intelligent decision here. And this is my list that was sent to you guys, and certainly feel free to add to this. But the questions that I think we need to have a good grip on is, first off, who's going to run it? You know, we've had very few candidates for the positions posted. Mark has said he can make it work for the first year to get us up and running for the actual, you know, how do you run a golf course? You know, where do you put the chemicals? Because he has the skills and expertise to do that. The next point there is when we started, the comment was made, if we didn't raise $100,000, we should not move forward with the project. The lease of the equipment instead of the acquisition of equipment has reduced that number greatly. But where do we need to be? What is a real number that we need to be? I mean, if we would have purchased equipment instead of leased it, we would have had about a $60,000 outlay. I think that's kind of the assumption by the members of the golf board. So, yeah, so that's worth thinking about. The legal fees have not been included in any of this budget work. I have no idea how many hours we have racked up at the lawyer. You know, they've been very, very helpful, and they've gotten us this far. Without that, we obviously wouldn't have done anything. So they've been very good and pretty good communication back and forth, and, you know, glad that they're working on that. But to me, it looks like for year one, you need to have about 72,351, and we have 38,000. You know, so we got to make about 2,700 rounds of golf to be played to make that work. Now there are other funding sources that come in, but I'm just kind of put it in context of how many rounds of golf. And there are other fundraising things and other things that could possibly happen if the city says, yeah, let's go ahead and sign that agreement. The business plan, I will let one of them walk through that if they would like to. And then we have an amazing group of people working to make this happen. How much of that X factor is worth considering in this? Because, you know, the group really wants it to happen. They're passionate about it, and that's worth consideration. Another question I have is, are we bound to the lease as a form of punishment, even if we want out? Because it does say in the lease, by mutual consent. So if the DNR decided, you know, we're going to teach other people not to mess with the DNR, we're going to hold you to this lease, would we be bound to that? I doubt it, but I think that's worth saying. I think that's worth considering. So that's what I have.
Okay, I think if we look at what, I think it was Bernadette, was it not, that had put in some numbers here?
And just one more thing.
Okay.
I sent all this to the members of the golf board because I don't believe in ambushing people at meetings.
Right.
So this was all sent to them and said, okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Come and be prepared to add to that or, you know, make different points.
Well, I guess I just have to say, I probably should let the rest of you speak first, but I think that it was answered pretty well here, that there are gonna be there's more monies coming, and the problem is probably because we haven't got the agreement haven't got signed, so you can't go ask corporate people, we donate when everything is still up in the air. That's how I kind of look at it, but I think once it's signed, I would think that it would move forward. Okay. Everyone else? Comments?
She estimated 61,500 for revenue.
Oh, I have one question. You said $38,000 cash, but we had pledges of $50,000. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So there's another $12,000 to come in? Is that right?
Or it won't come in. I mean, we've called and asked for that money, and it
I
hasn't
think
come in.
somewhere contingent on the agreement.
Okay.
So unless they see that we're gonna move forward with the golf course, they probably are not going to send their pledge in. Because some of them said pending agreement signed with the
And when you look at 3 tournaments, I don't know if you'll have 3 tournaments this year. You know, I mean, that's one of the things that is mentioned in the,
I think she had 2 at 1,500.
well, yeah, 2 at
Whatever,
1,500
yeah.
for $3,000,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, Ralph, thank you for putting
Yes.
these numbers together. As much as I want to see this golf course move forward, the way the numbers sit right now, they just don't add up in my eyes. I mean, I understand the lease agreements will bring the cost down, but when I voted on this last year, it was based on them raising $100,000, and that was our agreement. And that was my position representing Fairfax. I don't know what the rest of you think. It's too bad people didn't send their donations in, pending the agreement. But it's hard for me to commit Fairfax to something like this with $38,000 cash in hand, I guess. Unless you guys have something else that...
No, I'm kind of on the same page. I agree. We talked that $100,000, and we're not there. And there's other costs that aren't figured in here. These numbers look great, but are they realistic this year? I don't think so. With the golf carts, the DNR is going to take their time to approve that. We're looking at July probably before you got golf carts out there. You've got a couple months of real golf. People coming in. I mean, people will come and walk it in June, but not many.
Actually, our agreement says that once it's signed, they will sign within a couple of days.
What I read in the agreement today said we need to come up with a plan for the cart paths, which maybe you have already, but then they could take up to 30 days to approve that. And we know the DNR isn't going to jump on day one for us. They're going to take their time. So that's a concern, and I just don't see that kind of money coming in.
Well, if I can, speak, this says that we only need to generate 2,700 rounds, and that $13 a round to come up with this, to meet our obligations. Fort Ridgely was able to generate 2,500 rounds without any advertising, any promotion, ran no tournaments, and had no cart revenue, which this doesn't account for either. So our ability to generate 2,700 rounds, even if it does get to be the 1st of July before we can open the doors, should be within our realm, because once we have a signed agreement, we can begin to schedule tournaments. And we have several people who have said that they in fact will organize tournaments. And in fact, the Fort Ridgely actually organized a fundraising tournament, not necessarily. So I think we can generate the 2,700 rounds without any problem. I realize the 100,000. We do have a grant application in pending right now for 35,000. Bernadette has filed that with the Schmidt Foundation. We did give money to the library when I filled out an application. Lauren has had success with the Schmidt Foundation on a very short turnaround. So, we're fairly confident we wouldn't come this far if we didn't think we could generate enough revenue to stay in the black. No guarantees. I mean, weather could turn south, but I don't know whether it's reassurance I give. The cost that Ralph talked about for buildings, the chalet building is 50% of that cost, because we're only using half the building, and it's only for 7 or 8 months of the year, so that is prorated. And also the land is 80% of the $100 an acre that we're charged, because they're going to have access and full use of those acres in the other 4 months that we're closed. So those costs are going to be lower in each of those years. And plus the fact that if we don't get in until the 1st of July, we're going to be 3.5 months that they're going to prorate this first year cost too. So all those costs will be, because we aren't going to pay for months that we aren't allowed into the facilities and to operate. So our costs this year are going to be lower than what Ralph has come up with here too. In addition, we have a number of people who have expressed interest in being a pole sponsor. We know we can sell some, whether we can sell 18 remains to be seen. Also, selling advertising on our scorecards, which will be a revenue generator in addition to having the scorecards paid for. So, we have other revenue streams than just the 2,700 rooms.
Vicki, you got any comments?
No thanks. No comment.
Any questions?
No.
Any other questions?
Did we get any more applicants to be the manager of the chalet since our last meeting?
Yeah, there was some more that came in, that they were going to review tonight.
Okay.
I came into this a little late. I was in the beginning, and then I was gone, and then came back again. And we definitely had to have this lease as long as we did. Is that correct? With the DNR.
The lease is a 5-year lease, that's what's
They
been
would do it in
negotiated.
less than that.
I don't know.
Was that the DNR's choice, or was that the friend's choice?
I don't remember where they came up in the discussion. Initially, we were asking for a 3-year.
Right.
And somewhere in our negotiations, it became a 5-year lease, renewable annually. Bernadette did point out in her email that there was a mutually agreeable out for financial reasons. So, which would at least give the indication that there might be more flexibility than the scenario Ralph portrayed, but of course, that is not a guarantee. We aren't naive enough to think that they wouldn't do something nefarious or not in our best interest, maybe is a better way to put it. Like I said, there are no guarantees. We've worked long and hard for a whole year, and this is where we're at.
Any additional comments? Jenny? Josh? I think these people have worked. I know it's kind of like we're going out on a limb probably, but I think these people have worked hard. And I know what you're saying. 38,000 doesn't sound like, we didn't meet our goal. But at the same time, everything has kind of been in limbo because the agreement hasn't been signed. So it's difficult for them to move forward to do things. And probably, like Marcia said, people didn't know it was going either, and probably weren't willing to donate. I guess it's if we want to take a chance and go out on a limb. That's what we're doing.
With these numbers, I'm just not confident. I'm sorry.
Does the golf board have any more comments?
Well, I would just say that because of the drawn-out difficulty with the DNR, just kept stretching it out. And during this whole time, we couldn't get equipment in, we couldn't get the course ready, we couldn't finalize any of the grants and the sponsorships. So it really put us behind the 8 ball, and I'm sure that's what they were trying to do. So had some of that gone a little easier, I think we'd have had a nice financial look, which, you know, would have made the picture acceptable. So I understand your concern, and I was here when we said you got to raise. When you guys said you got to raise $100,000, and that's what we pledged. But the circumstances just put us in a position. But as Mark said, I think as dedicated as the group is, and the fact that already in place is some perpetual fundraising that will go on throughout the year. We may have to employ people that do that as a business and raise funds for us. So I just don't think the supporters will allow it to fail. Can't believe how hard they've worked. And to see a 92-year-old golf course go down, that was my feeling from the very beginning. I just was not going to let a golf course be plowed up without a fight. But I understand your concerns, but I think you got to take a leap of faith.
If we could somehow have a guarantee that we could come up with the other 30,000, because we were at 70, if I look at the numbers. If we could find some way, someone who would not necessarily pledge that money, but pledge to support it, if in fact the other things didn't come through, basically a line of credit, would that do? Because if we don't sign now, we're of course we can't begin to open because we can't even pay the bills that it's going to take to get open, and they won't sign if they drag their feet for the whole 30 days. And we put this off 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and they're another 30 days. Everything we've done to this point is gone. There's no way we can make it down. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I can't begin to guarantee anything. I'm sure not in a financial condition, except that, and I guess one other thing to point out, the labor costs at this point are going to be zero for the maintenance. We've got volunteers who, if I have to, we'll mow and spray and keep it up for nothing. But that doesn't help us with collecting revenue in the clubhouse. And those costs that are associated with that. So I don't know what else to say. I guess this is where we're at.
Randy, what's on your mind?
I certainly always knew this would be a tough thing to pull off. I remember Gary Downs telling us, asking us way back when we first went to St. Paul, he said, do you think you people, he didn't know what the structure would be then. He said, do you think you people could operate a course? And I remember thinking, oh boy. It would be a shame, I hate to see this in the terms of an antagonistic sides, but it would be really a shame to let the DNR win this one. I know it's asking a lot of the city. Obviously, there is some risk. You're seeing that. I think we would be aware that we couldn't run this in the red. So we do everything that we're capable of to avoid that. That said, it's kind of a big venture that we think potentially the city of Fairfax might be quite proud and known for accomplishing this. That's not a guarantee. It's just, I think, the potential's there. I understand you all have a lot of things on your plate, but I'm sure I can give this a run.
I guess
I came up from Mankato Friday, so I stopped at Ridgely to see if any of the group was around, and they weren't, so I stopped at the little shack and introduced myself, and the lady said, how you coming? I said, well, we're getting close. She said, well, we had about 4 or 6 people come in for the weekend, and first question was, are we going to be able to golf? And of course, she said, not yet. So people want to play, or want to play.
And you probably are aware, my name, along with many others, has gotten associated with this effort. I don't know how many people have come up and thanked me and thanked us for what we're doing. There is a lot of support out there. I wish it was shown more in the capital campaign. We thought it was going to. But we're not alone.
What do you think, Lauren?
Again, Ralph, I'll probably reiterate some of the same points you made. Just amazed at the willingness of people to step forward, especially non-residents of Fairfax. Regional people, I have a buddy from Mankato, and it's just a regional draw. And I believe if we take that leap of faith and have faith in the capabilities of the men and women who step forward in this committee that are committed to see this through, that they will raise the money. I'm probably guilty of the one with, let's raise 100,000. Said that at 2 different meetings to the council. That was based, much as Ralph said, on the business model of buying $40,000 of equipment and of golf carts and probably $20,000 of mowing maintenance equipment, that type of thing. And we reached a point when the fundraising leveled off that we recognized that buying equipment this first year, which would save us money in years 2, 3, 4, and 5, wasn't going to work. And we switched to leasing, which lowered that cash need down dramatically. I firmly believe that the numbers that Bernadette had put together are realistic. I think there, much like Mark said, there's going to be multiple tournaments out there. Representative Miller wants to hold one. I think, we've talked about, he wants to know when we're going to have the 90th birthday celebration and so forth. And I just feel that the regional friends of Fort Ridgely State Park and that golf course will step forward and will exceed those revenue projections. But as others said, it's going to take a leap of faith. And much like I think Mark stated, yeah, I wish there was another 20 grand in the bank, or 30. But again, we've been handcuffed in our ability to raise funds until that lease is in place and to get going. And so my request is have faith, we can do this. Amazing group of individuals. We can get it done.
Tom? I'm sorry.
Apologize for being a little late. Mark and I were out on the course yesterday, and one of the things, as we had the new, well, it's probably a tee mower, because as we were looking how to adjust it to be a greens mower, that we mowed tees. One of the things in all of my years and all the golf I play is all yesterday, and I keep thinking of this course's layout and the way it was constructed, because it was constructed very well. The state, and with Mark being out there, they built a beautiful layout for this course. The greens are still in great shape, the fairways are in great shape, the tee boxes are in great shape, which is really unusual for a golf course that has, the maintenance has ceased, you know, from a year ago Labor Day. And they really did very little effort to maintain the course all last year. And so, you know, I was just marveling at how easily this course was being able to be mowed and to bring back. And once it's back, when we were out there, there was a family, young family that was out there over by hole number 5, and they came up to Mark, and I was moving from 5 tee box over to 4 tee box, and they were talking about, gee whiz, the first time they'd ever been to the park, first time they'd ever camped, and what they wanted to do was to play golf. If they could come back and play golf, visit the park, all the things that I think is the vision of the group, city council and all of us doing that. But that golf course is very unique. So far, the group, Lauren and everyone in here, we've maintained it to the best we could with the limitations they gave us. So we are really not too far away from having that playable. And once again, it's a credit, I think, to the architects and the design that went in. Because you just don't neglect a golf course like the DNR did for as long as, and still have it in the shape it's at. There's some sprinklers that need, you know, heads that need repair. We are fortunate, they've marked those so that we know which ones, you know, need some work on. But once again, it's all been done with volunteer work. Just a lot of people, you know, that just have, you know, a passion to keep this thing successful. And that's what the first year is going to do, get ourselves established, get ourselves well known, get ourselves to know that, hey, we're open for business again with a little better twist. But it is, you know, once again, every time I go out there, I think this, what a wonderful addition that is to this region and really to the area. So that's, once again, that, you know, I was pretty impressed. Thanks to, you know, this guy who built it, helped build it, and as, you know, knows what to do to maintain it. You know, we're pretty fortunate. So, thank you.
Thank you. I think that's one thing that hasn't been mentioned that we should think about is that, you know, it is an asset. I've always said this. It's an asset for Fairfax. It's something I've said when people come to the Fourth, they're probably going to, they may, if they stay out there, if they golf, they may come into town, they may make some purchases here, they may eat here. And we do have the bike trail that, you know, connects us. So there's just a lot of good things that I think could happen with this if we're willing to do the jump and like Lynn said.
You know, we might be able to ease into the food and liquor part of it. Because that's a fairly significant expense and some time involved in getting the licensing and what have you, but I think that could develop, once we get the okay that we can have liquor, and all the licensing involved in food, inspections and that sort of thing. I think that could come, but we might do probably what's called a soft opening, or if we can't have carts right away, well, let them walk. They've walked before. But the idea is just to let the public know that it's open. And if we've got the signage and the signatures from the DNR, then we can proceed with quite a campaign to raise more money. So I don't think the financial end will be a problem. If you can look at that 100,000 in just a little different perspective. We'll get there, but it's just going to take a little longer because of the delays we encountered.
Cards are approved for one-day weekend tournaments already.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of a funny deal, but we might utilize that just to pick a weekend day or something. And
So if somebody really needed a card, we do have that. That is authorized already. One day a week and any tournaments. That's approved by SHPO already.
Okay.
But because of all the publicity that's resulted from what we've tried to do for the last year and a half, people are going to be curious. They're going to come. Those that haven't played here before, like me, I've never played the golf course, but I can't wait to give it a try. They're going to come. And then when we're able to really promote and advertise and let the area know, look out, then the play will begin.
The dreamer part of me really wants it to work. And if we were playing with my money, this would be something I'd put my money behind. But I'm not playing with my money. That's the hard part for me, is I'm playing with the city's money. And that's what's really just, I mean, I've gone back and forth in my head 10 times which way I think I'm gonna vote. You know, and it's just difficult. It's really hard because that X factor of the passion that you guys have, that's the thing that just keeps making me think, well, maybe we give this a try. You know, but then I look at the obstacles and I just think there's a lot to this. There's a lot of stuff here. But I tried to lay out all of the information I had, and I wanted to hear from you guys, and I'm glad that you're here to give your comments and fill in the gaps of the things that I didn't have in there. So it's a hard decision. Won't be easy for anybody up here.
No, another thing is that the big thing is tax dollars. But we do have the gas and electric fund, enterprise funds, and the taxes would go up if they didn't transfer into the general fund. I mean, you can always look at that. That's not tax dollars. That's your enterprise funds, and you could transfer.
That would be a hard sell to people that.
But that's a fact. It's a fact. The general fund, the enterprise funds are self-sustaining. They transfer into the general fund so people don't have as high a tax rate as what they probably would.
Yeah.
This year, you're transferring into the general fund close to $500,000. Now, if you didn't have those enterprise funds, the people's tax levy would be a whole lot more than what it is now. I mean, people have to understand that those enterprise funds are not tax dollars. Your tax dollars come out of the levy and the general fund.
But it's essentially the same pocket. I mean, the people who pay the utility bills also pay the taxes, but I understand they're not levied dollars.
Mhm.
So.
And I would say that, you know, if the DNR doesn't sign within a few days, we would certainly go back to our legislative friends who have been so supportive, all 7 area legislators, and ask them to put the pressure on to speed the process. I can't imagine what reason they would have to delay signing when this has all been run through their legal department to get it this far. But that doesn't help the overall long-range cost for things, but it would give us a quicker opening.
Okay, I guess we're here. And we have the resolution in front of me. Any other comments from anyone? Any one of you?
Just know would you call the roll, start on the other side this time. You might start down here on us. So,
Well, first I need to have the motion for Resolution 2017-11. Do I have a motion?
I would make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made by Ralph, seconded by Jenny, to approve Resolution 2017-11. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Let's take a roll call vote here. Josh?
No.
Jenny?
No.
Ralph?
Yes.
No.
Okay, we have three noes. I would be a yes, so it would be 2 yeses, but I guess I don't even have to vote. Motion failed. So, Resolution 2017-11 did not pass. With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Rick, seconded by Josh to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.